Welcome to the Explosive Podcast with Jared Binney. Today's episode, I'm going to talk about training results. I know a lot of people have followed me with the squat ratios and seen the vertical jumps that we've produced at the gym. Right now, I think I'm sitting at 43 people with over a 40-inch vertical. But you hear that, and people know if you squat 1.7 times your body weight, you should be running a 4.7 or 1.5 is a 4.9 and so forth and so on. I've done some YouTube videos on how to box squat for sprint speed. I've talked about the squat ratios and other podcasts. You hear the end result. Okay, I had an 8th grader bench 325. I had this high school, I had an 8th grader squat 425. I had a 9th grader squat 500. I had a 16-year-old squat 500. I had 3 athletes squat 600. I've had, I think, 14 athletes to bench 405 while in high school. And these are not heavy kids. Dorsey at 220 yesterday at the gym did 405 on bench, 4 sets of 3. But they started well below that. I should look up, see where their starting numbers are. But in January, Dorsey's bench max was only 385. And February, he did 425. And now we're already sitting about the first or second week of March, and he's done 405 for sets of 3. So, and I had another kid last month, he benched, in January, he benched 365. And in February, he did 365 for 3. We didn't max because he don't want to max until we get ready. Next time he maxes, he wants to hit 405. He don't want to hit 385. He don't want to hit 390. He don't want to hit 400. 405's the goal. And so in this episode, I'm going to talk about the actual monthly progress, and we're going to look at the speed numbers. We're going to look at the bench numbers. I didn't write the squats down. I did do some. But I didn't do a lot of squats because the only thing we've used squats for in the gym is to produce the 40-yard dash time. And we box squat for that. And like last month, or we're in March now. So in January, I had some new kids come to the gym. I had 4 of them. And I asked the dads, because these dads will sit there and watch the kids, and I'll tell them, I said, what's more important? Do we need speed or do we need to gain weight? Do we need speed or we need to gain weight? Because if we need to gain weight, I'll regular squat them because we have more tissue breakdown, and I can add more body weight to the kids that way instead of the box squat. Box squatting don't make you a sore, so you can do it more frequently. But you can also, with these kids and these high school athletes, you can squat the crap out of them 3 days a week. They'll squat at school. They'll come to the gym and squat. So that's already twice in one day. But they usually only squat once a week at school. So then I got them another. So they're squatting sometimes 4 times a week, but it's twice in one day and 2 other days during the week. But so I'll ask, because I test at the end of each month to make sure that what I'm doing is working toward that designated goal. So I had a group of kids, and I said, you need to gain weight or you need to get faster. You need to gain weight. I said, you have to choose A or B. You don't get A and B at the same time. And so at the end of the month, they all tested. Out of that group of 4 kids, the only one that did not improve the 40-yard dash was the one I regular squatted. And I've talked about this before in the podcast, as I had 2 high school athletes years ago, both squatted 315 at 6 meters per second. One wanted a regular squat and one wanted a box squat. One wanted a regular squat because that's what they did at school. He didn't care what we did at the gym. And I said, if you do this, you'll get faster. I don't care. I don't want to squat like we squat. I said, you don't want to go to school and be strong as shit and be that stereotypical kid in the weight room. You're strong, but you can't move. No, then you won't ever play football. I said, it's okay. But whatever. So at the end of month 1, they started off at 315 at 6 meters per second. They both ran a 5.140. Next month, one ran a 5 flat. The other one ran a 5.1. Okay. No big deal. Still basically the same, right? Well, the next month, 5.1. The next month, the kid that was box squatting ran a 4.9. And the kid still did not want a box squat. Well, he continued a regular squat. The next month, his buddy ran a 4.8 and he ran a 5.2. Oh shit. Now we have a bigger gap. Now we're 0.4 of a second difference. And the next month, the kid ran a 4.7 and his buddy still ran a 5.2. And by that time, we were already at May. So if you go from January to May, now you're going in spring practice. Then after spring practice, you got June and July where you got your camps. So again, and the kicker part is they both went from 315, squatting 315 at 6 meters per second to squatting 405 at 6 meters per second. So their same strength speed went up. Strength speed is when you got heavy weight moved at a certain rate of speed. Speed strength is like our dumbbell jumps or people who do power cleans and stuff like that. So it's opposite end of the strength spectrum. But so that's kind of a monthly progress and things like that. And I want to get into some of these kids' folders right here that I brought home so I can do this podcast with and just go over some of this. I had a 13-year-old this year break a 12-year-old board record. The board record at the gym, I got a record board that kind of, the numbers are so damn high right now that people don't even look at the board until they even get close. The board record for my vertical jump, a 13-year-old kid jumped a 37.2, and that record was broken this year by this 13-year-old. This kid started with me in October, so October, November, December, January. This kid started off running a 5.5. The next month he ran a 5.4. Go back and listen to my other podcasts, or you can listen to these folders. I can usually average 1/10 of a second off a kid per month. So average, it may not show up every month, but I can usually average out 1/10 of a second over time per month per athlete. If we're doing the box squatting for sprint speed, but if we're regular squatting, we may not get that monthly average. But anyway, a lot of people, I get so frustrated because people think you can get speed from somewhere else, but they're never testing speed. So they're doing these sprint drills, A skips, B skips, high knees. Hey, let's step over this hurdle. They're doing all these body weight drills with no external resistance. Just go, okay, well, if that's the case, you can do 100 push-ups, but you can't bench 315. How's that possible? So you get those people in the arm, they can do push-ups all day long, but you put 225 on the bar, they get crushed. So that lets you know that body weight stuff is not always going to produce the greatest power. So you have to have external load to produce external force. Okay, let's get in this kid again. 5.2 the first month, 5.4, 5.4, then a 5.2. So it went 5.5, 5.4, 5.4, 5.2. Okay, so now if we were to go on a monthly average, 5.5, 5.4, 5.3, 5.2. That would have been perfect, but he had two 5.4s 2 months in a row. His first month, he had a 30-inch vertical. Second month, he had, his starting stuff was 5.5 and 30-inch vertical. The next month, he had a 5.4 and a 32-inch vertical. The next month, he ran at 5.4 again and a 36-inch vertical. So by his vertical going from a 32 to a 36, I know that the speed was there. It just did not show up on paper. So sometimes they'll get their vertical jump and running are correlated. So I know if their vertical jump's going up, our speed's coming along with it, but sometimes it don't show up on paper. And so that's probably when we went from a 36 that month to a 38. The next month, that 5.4 dropped. We skipped that 5.3 and got to our 5.2. So that kid went from a 30 to a 32 to a 36 to a 38.2-inch vertical, broke the 12-year-old board record by exactly 1 inch. I have not tracked his body weight from day one, but from January to February, he was, when he ran at 5.4 in December, he was 143 pounds. And then when he got to that 5.2, he was 148 pounds. I wish I would have had his body weight over time a little bit more than that. And so his bench press first month, 125. Starting next month, 145. Next month, 160. Next month, 180. So we went a 10-pound, 20-pound jump, a 15-pound jump, and another 20-pound jump in bench press performance. But the kid, I told the kid's dad, I had a group of dads that don't run track. Track will destroy their 40-yard dash. But the track coach don't know that because the track coach is worried about the 100 to 200 to 400 or whatever else their events are. So they're not seeing that these kids are getting their 40-yard dashes destroyed or halted or whatever. It's very frustrating because you're talking to someone that's not testing 40 and they're just testing 100. I know they're getting on better at the 100, 200. They're doing their job. Yeah, but I'm doing my job for helping the athlete. So if the athlete is a football player and they're running track and they're coming out of track season in May, they're going to have to go June or July to run through these camps and try to get these 40-yard dash numbers. So the first thing to do when they get to these camps, they're going to run a 40-yard dash. Well, shit, if the kid goes through track season and he gets slower, he's not going to have a good 40-yard dash. And I've seen it happen time and time and time over and over again. And so a lot of dads pulled their kids for the first time from track. So I had a dad, he's a parent of a kid that comes to the gym. The kid is a running back at a local high school. And for him to pull his kid out of doing track was like, holy shit, because usually it's just been ingrained in this that they have to run track to run better. And that's absolutely not true. And so this kid, 13 years old, he's in eighth grade. He wanted to run track. His dad told him not to run track, and his mom told him not to run track. I said, "You didn't listen to your mama?" And I said, "Whatever." So first month, he ran a 5.5, 5.4, 5.4, 5.2. And last month, he decided to run track. We were back at a 5.41. And usually that's about what you average, is a tenth of a second off. His vertical that month in February dropped back down to a 32. So it went from a 38 to a 32. His bench also stayed the same, 125, 145, 160, 180, and another 180 bench. Came to the gym in February and almost got no gains. It kind of went backwards because stupid track. I hate it. This other kid right here, he decided to run track. He ran a 5.23 and a 5.28 testing. This was in November, December, and then January starts track season. And he came in running a 5.43 and a 5.48. So we went from a 5.23 and a 5.28, slowed down to a 5.43 and a 5.4. That's another 0.2 of seconds for this particular kid himself. Years ago, I had Dorsey as a freshman. He ran going into his high school year as a freshman, he ran a 4.88 40-yard dash. Coming out of football season, he came as much as he could during football season. He came in running a 4.91, a 4.92. So during seasons, first time I had a kid that 40 did not drop much more than that. Usually if it's running a 4.8, they're going to drop up to a 5 flat, but he didn't run a 4.8 out of the season. He ran a 4.91, pretty close to that 4.88. And I told him, don't run track. It's going to make you slower. Well, how's that even possible, Jared? You're running. Well, I know. Well, I had my own son, Colton, in track, and that's how I first started experiencing this. And I had this other kid from this other school. He went from running a 4.8 to a 5.2. And so Dorsey decided to run track, and at the end of track season, he was running a 5.2 40-yard dash. He got slower through the season. And this kid last year, I told him, don't freaking run track. And they get talked into it, I guess, because they're trying to create a track team. I don't really understand, but I get frustrated because my job is to help these football players try to get a scholarship so they go on the next level. And if they're doing something that they think's working, that's not cool, because you should not think. You should have a clear, precise yes or no answer. And I've got these folders and I've got these kids over and over again. So this kid ran track anyway. So we went from running a 4.7 something 40 to a 5 flat 40. And so guess what this year? He's not running track. He's at the gym. And he said, Jared, I don't understand why they don't believe me. So, and it's just frustrating that you can get these kids to improve. And that you show them the improvements. Then when they go to track season, they start to slow down. Then now you got them locked in for life because now they've experienced it. So let's get on to this next person. I know I can ramble on quite a bit. All right. This kid started off at a 5.28 40-yard dash. Next month ran a 5.16. Next month ran a 5.03. And last month he ran a 4.88. So we went from a 5.28 to a 4.88. So exactly 0.4 of a second difference. But here's the kicker. First month he weighed 177 pounds. Next month he weighed 186 pounds. Next month he weighed 194. And last month he weighed 197 pounds. So we gained 20 pounds body weight, went from running a 5.28 to a 4.88. And we went from jumping a 32.4 to a 35.3 vertical, all while gaining 20 pounds. He went from an 8.3 broad jump to a 9.1 broad jump. So 8.3, 8.6, 8.9, 9.1. Those are his monthly improvements on the broad jump. But his starting bench max with me in November was 185 pounds. Next month, it was 210 pounds. Next month was 250. And last month, it was 275. If we keep on that gain, we will be at 300 pounds by the end of March. So, and last year I had a kid named Carson. He started off with me at a 245-pound bench. Right before season, we got him, midsummer, we got him to 315. And out of season, quickly, we got him to 345. So in about a year's time, he's gone from 245 to 345 with football season in the middle of that. Carson also squat maxed midsummer 340, and then right before season we got him to 360, and right. And I said, look, we need to try to come through season, see if we can get your squat to go up through the season. So as your squat goes up, everybody else drops, and you're much strong. You're still stronger at the end of the season, and so your gap in strength is going to be a lot bigger. So he came during season, and at the end of the season, we was at 395, and after that, next month we was at 425, and so we actually got stronger. And he's actually ahead of some other kids because the kids that did not come and try to squat during the season actually progressed and went the other direction. And then January, Carson ran a 5.24, and last month he ran a 5.05 and a 5.07. So we knocked off 2/10 from January to February. So that's working for him. But I thought these bench press gains were pretty cool. I went over this kid's 125, 145, 160, so 185. This one kid had a huge jump. First month was January. He went from 282 pounds to 285 pounds, so only a 3-pound gain. His 40-yard dash went from a 6.36 to a 6.39. I'm at 6.36, 6.39 to a 5.96 and a 5.98. So pretty consistent when he's running, being a 6.36 and a 6.39. The next month he ran a 5.96 and a 5.98. He went from a 19-inch vertical to a 24-inch vertical. His bench press went from 150 pounds to 190 pounds. So that's pretty good for him. This kid over time, his bench went from 145 to 175 to 195. We went from running a 5.640, 5.340 to a 5.240. Body weight I didn't track it the first two, so his body weight from 168 to 171 pounds in the last month. So he's going from a 27-inch vertical to a 30-inch vertical on that. So this kid, what did we do last month? January, he weighed in at 220. In February, he weighed in at 224. We went from a 5.43 and a 5.47 40-yard dash to a 5.25 and a 5.27 40-yard dash. We also went from a 270-pound bench to a 300-pound bench. So another kid getting 25-plus pounds, 30 pounds right there per month on their bench press improvement. And this kid, for him, I did not test his 40 in February because he's been slacking a lot more. But I told him if he box squatted, he goes, Jared, I got to work on my speed. Okay. Well, if you box squat, you'll get faster. And so they're talking about how they squat at school and stuff again, and I don't care. And so I'm trying to get them to learn, hey, if you listen, you'll get faster. You'll get faster without running. No tread, no 20-yard sprints or anything. And they just kind of look at you like, how's that? Because you're also brainwashed on trying to do what you've done or what everybody else tells you. And I'm sitting here telling you the complete opposite of what everybody else. He ran a 5.61 to a 5.53 40-yard dash. I didn't get his broad jump. I didn't get his vertical the first month, and so I don't even have his body weight, but he's a pretty big dude. But I do have his bench press tracked. He went from he started off at a 315 bench in December. January, it was 330, and February, it was 350. So we went from a 315, 330, and a 350 bench. So although they're getting that first 15 pounds, next month they get 20 pounds on their bench press improvement gains. And this kid, he started off pretty good. 5.9 40-yard dash. Next month, 5.6. Next month, 5.5. Next month, 5.4. Next month, 5.3. And then in December, started doing baseball stuff. And that 5.3 went to a 5.4. January, we got back down to a 5.3. And now baseball season, we're back to the 5.4. So we're going to fluctuate between 5.3 and 5.4 through baseball season. And get out of baseball season, we'll continue to get the gains. We've also gone from 169 pounds over time to 170. So a 10-pound gain. And he's going from a 5.9 to a 5.3 at best. His starting bench max first month was 135. Next month was 145. Next month was 155. Next month was 170. Next month was 190. Next month was 200. And during baseball season, not been as much. His bench stalled at 200. So he said he's going to try to come during season. So we'll see. But anyway, we've gone from 135 pounds to 200-pound bench since August. September, October, November, December. Yep. And so this kid was doing pretty good right here. Oh, the kid that benched 315, 330, and 350. I wrote this down because he came to me the other day. And he goes, Jared, my bench is not going. And so he's actually starting to miss bench reps. And I said, well, you've not been coming as much. Yeah, I have. I said, no, you haven't. Because they're coming, they're squatting, they're benching, they're squatting, they're benching. This kid's not doing it every day because he's supposed to be coming every day. So if you're supposed to be coming every day, you're going to bench a day. And if it's squat day, you're going to squat. You're not going to bench on your squat day. So, because I expect you, if you're supposed to be here, you're supposed to be every day. Anyway, I said, look, you benched here. Then 8 days later, you benched here. Then 4 days after that, you benched here. Then 6 days, and then 2 days. So he went 8. I wrote it on this little purple sheet of paper. He went 8, 4, 2, 6, 2. So that frequency has been spread out to where that's not very many times. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 5 times in a month. So no wonder his bench didn't go anywhere. And I got this kid right here. And January, he ran a 5:07. And in February, he ran a 5:1. And his vertical was a 33 in January. In February, he was a 32. So he lost an inch on his vertical, and he lost 1/10 of a second in his 40-yard dash. But the kicker, his bench still went up. I guess he was there at bench enough, but he didn't. And I said, you've got to squat. You got to. He said, Jared, I went to the whatever that gym is down the street, and he did stuff else. I said, as a high school person, and even as a college person, you are not smart enough to program yourself for improved performance. They think just because they did an exercise that they got better, but they're not measuring. And so let me see if I didn't cover it up. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4. He squatted 4 times that month. No wonder it didn't move. You got to squat a lot more frequently than you think. And he's also been doing 7-on-7s. Well, if you're doing 7-on-7s and you're also doing gym, your 40-yard dash may stall, kind of like this baseball player over here, or the other kid that's running track. Your numbers kind of go up and down, and kind of go backwards. And if you do anything, like you've heard me on a podcast before, like I talked about the kid, he was usually running a low 4.7 40-yard dash. Well, he came in, he ran a high 4.88, a 4.91. So he's not ran a 4.9 since he was a freshman in high school. And I said, what did you do? He said, I had a rec basketball. He said, that was only 1 hour, Jared. How does that make any sense? I said, anytime you do anything at all, you play basketball and PE, you do anything, you run in the yard, you run and play, it's going to mess your 40-yard dash up if it gets tested. You at least have to have 1 day off your legs in order to see these results, to have consistent results. And so I tested him on a Sunday. His rec basketball game was on a Saturday. Came in and tested and ran as low as it was a 4.9, or his best was a 4.88, something high. So if you average them out, you could say it's a 4.9. And I told him, he said, well, Monday's bench at school. So he went to school Monday and benched. Then he came back to the gym and benched that afternoon at the gym. And Tuesday, he didn't even go to school because they squat on Tuesdays. And so he came in after, and it was kind of rainy. And if you heard the last podcast, and I didn't want him to slip and fall, but I also wanted him to test. I said, I don't want you to test. He said, I'm going to test. I said, well, if you're going to test, we're only going to do one because I don't need you to get freaking hurt. So we go backwards. And so put on his cleats. And the thing I like about that is the group of kids, because this kid's really competitive. And when he ran that slow speed, he was pissed, kind of on tiring at the gym. And no one would talk to him because he was also the kid benching 405 for 3 the other day at 220 pounds. So he's fast, he's strong, he has a 42-inch vertical. And no one would talk to him, but a lot of people were there enough because I keep talking. I talk about it on the podcast. I tell people, I don't know if I have to inject it to their brain in a better way or not, but who knows? So he ran at 140, almost slipped, almost fell. I was like, holy shit, don't get hurt. But anyway, he ran a 4.73, and everybody looked around. I said, I told you guys, just like I told that other kid. I said, look, he goes, Jared, it's not about the ratio. I said, it is. I said, you are matched up with it. You have some kids that are outliers that are not perfectly in with the ratio that I've come up with, but you, even if you're, whatever your ratio is, so if you go from a 1.7 to a 1.8 and your sprint speed does not get faster, squatting at that point may not be the answer because you got stronger, but you didn't get faster. So whatever it is, so if you squat 315 at 6 meters per second, you go up to squatting 350 at 6 meters per second. And that number, whatever that ratio number, if it went from a 1.6 to a 1.7 or a 1.6 to a high 1.7, and your sprint speed did not get faster, squatting at that point is not the answer. For most of the people, they fit into the ratio. If you squat 1.4 times your body weight, you're running a 5 flat. If you squat 1.5, you're running a 4.9. If you squat 1.6, you're at a 4.8. 1.7 is a 4.7, and so forth. It's really well matched up because if you got someone that's a 1.70, they're actually running like a 4.77 or a 4.78, so they're higher end. So then when they drop that one, so now if they're squatting 1.77 instead of 1.70, you'll see that 4.7 almost be a 4.72 or 4.73. So it kind of changes hands, and it's really cool. But this one kid, he fits right in with it. He goes, Jared, it's not about the ratio. I said, yes, it is. He said, I got it. And so whatever. I said, you're going to run a 5.0 740 dash. He said, I'm running a 4.9. Everybody said, Jared, he's running a 4.9. I said, not possible. And the kid ran the 40 dash 4 times. And his best was a 5.05. So he beat me by 0.02. But I feel so defeated. I said, it's not my job to defeat you. It's my job to tell you the truth and try to help you so that we are tracking something so that if something's not working, if this is not working, we need to move on to do something that is. And so the ratio is, are you getting stronger relative to your body weight? If you are and you're sprinting faster, then we're doing our job. But if not, we're not doing our job. So we need to switch and figure out what's going to work for you. So I told him that. And you see this other kid over here. I'm trying to get through these folders. This kid's first bench max was a 145. Next month was a 170. Started slacking, did not come to gym, and he bench maxed 170 again for another month in a row. It's kind of frustrating. This kid, he's going from a 5.88 to a 5.34. So first month 5.88, next month 5.60. Next month, a 5.57, and then next month, a 5.34, 8.76. So he's improving faster than 1/10 of a second per month. His starting vertical was 22, next month 25, next month 29, next month 30. Starting broad jump was 7.2, next month 7.6, next month 7.10, and last month was an 8.1. This kid's also had pretty good bench press improvements. First month, 165. Next month, 180. Next month, 220. Next month, 235. So as you see, we're chucking off a lot of strength improvements in some of these athletes. Now, I've got some of my online clients. I was going to give Owen a shout out from Oregon because he puts in a lot of hard work. And I'm not going to say some of the other guys' names because I'm not sure if I can. I know, talk to another dad out there. Don't mention my son. So I said, okay. But his son, when I was not supposed to mention, dropped one of his squat days and had been doing 7-on-7, which is kind of a double-edged sword because you got, for what he does, you've got to have the 7, because you got to have that experience, that gaming, that timing, and all that stuff. But his 40 dash was still in the 10th range, so 4.6, low 4.6 to a higher 4.6, but they did something on their legs today at squad the day before at school, and so his dad was wondering why it's stalling. If you're doing something on your legs again, like I said earlier, that can stall that 40 dash, or actually maybe even faster because it was still in the same 10th range. Where if you looked at Dorsey, he went from a 4.7 to a high 4.8 and a low 4.9. And so I had a kid one year, he was supposed to run a 4.8, and he came in and ran a 5.1. I said, what the hell did you do yesterday? He said, I was in the yard practicing my 40 dash. And I started gaining this over 10 years ago. I've had some girls that were supposed to run faster. What'd you do? Oh, I had a soccer game before. Oh, geez. And so then I would test the 40 dash on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So all right, don't do anything Wednesday on your legs if you can, and we'll come back in and we'll test Thursday. And 100% of the time, if they didn't do anything on their legs on Wednesday, they ran what they were supposed to on that Thursday. And that's how I kind of started figuring that. I just seen it happen. What'd you do the day before? after with so many people, like out of, that one kid over here that did not improve his 40-yard dash, out of the first 2 hours of the gym during test week, I had 40 athletes in the first 2 hours. And so out of 40 kids, he was the only kid that did not improve his 40-yard dash. And he just looked around. I said, look, I told you. And they think it's not possible. They think they're better than the system. They're not. It's not breakable. And so he just could not get over. And I said, I told you. And so now he's been coming a lot more. He's still got to do a 7-on-7 at school or whatever he's doing skill set wise. I understand that, but it's kind of like if for this kid running a 5-1, you can have all the skill in the world, but if you don't have the speed, if he ran a 4.5 and didn't have any skill, he'd have a better shot than having great skill running a 5.1. So you got to pick and choose your battles. He needs more speed than he does skill right now. Once he gets the speed, then he can sharpen the skill. But I heard he's not bad, but it's kind of like they want to go do the glamour and show. Like I heard Bolt talk, when you're performing out there on the track or whenever you're doing, that's the fun part. That's when all that work you did behind the scenes, you get to show off. So it's kind of like I had a kid that could not run a 40-yard dash. I mean, short, choppy steps. And I try to show this video to the kid. It's more about power production than it is form, especially in a short distance. And so, like my online client, I got a kid in Australia. His, I got to write everything in kilos out there, but he's got a buddy that works out all the time. And his dad was telling him about it. And this kid, his bench max went up 20 kilograms. While his buddy that works out and his dad, then the son didn't even tell the dad until the dad found out later. But the kid I've been working with in Australia, his bench went up 20 pounds and his friends went up 2.5 kilograms. So respectively, 20 kilograms is 44 pounds and 2.5 kilograms is 5.5 pounds. So you got this kid, his friend went up 39 pounds versus a 39 pound gap difference. So if that's huge. And so I meant to look up to see where Owen's starting bench was, but he's been killing it. He's been outpacing some of the things that I want. I've not told him that. I've not told his dad that, but that's good because I know if he's hitting those numbers. And sometimes, like I finally got him to miss reps on his bench the other day because I like to see kids missing reps because I know they're trying. And so I'm trying to get people to miss reps. And I had a kid one year. He goes, Jared, I feel like I'm not getting better. Just because you're missing reps does not mean you're not getting better. You are actually maximizing your system when you're missing reps. Not that you should try to, it's that you should fight against it. And so when you're missing reps, I like to kind of make a mess of it. So like I was working with this kid. This kid was working with someone else, not Owen, but this other kid. He was working with someone else for a year, and his bench max stayed at 245 for a year. So you're paying someone, and your bench max stayed at 245 for a year. I said, shit, I can get you at 275 by the end of the month. And so we went from 245 to 275 like I told him to, and he just could not believe it. We did that in 1 month, and he couldn't get it done with someone else within a year. And then I started Larson pressing him. And once I kept his legs out, kept his hips on the bench, and took the momentum out, because with his butt off the bench and using hips, he's at 245. With his butt off the bench and using hips, he went to 270. So it still had a strength increase. And I locked it back down because I like to try to get him to a certain point, come back, clean it up, get you to a point, come back, clean it up. I got this kid to Larson press 225, which means no legs, just all arms, and max at 225. Well, at the end of the next month, we was at 250. So we went up 25 pounds in a month, somewhat similar to what everybody else is doing. And I wish I would have wrote down Owen's starting bench, but I know he could. A few weeks ago, he was barely getting 175 for 3. Now he's done 185 for 5. So another person out there that's getting monstrous gains. I got to work with a guy in also Washington, and he cannot get over how fast his gains have come that quick. The people out there are killing the verticals and things like that. So that's just a taste of some of the stuff I wanted to share and some of the stuff I wanted to go over. So I know I've not done a podcast in a while. I'll try to keep up with it. I'll try to keep up with these results. So anyway, thank you for watching. thank you for listening. If you have questions, please email me at info@Explosive Mechanics. There's some other stuff I got to get over, so hopefully I'll do another one this week. So anyway, info@Explosive Mechanics, or Instagram, Explosive Mechanics, Twitter @Explosive MEC, or X, whatever it is now. So anyway, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.